Back to the Hot Morning Show with Becca and Mike D on Hot 106.
And it's Thirsty Thursday, might we add. Good morning, everybody. Hope we're feeling good. It feels nice out there. It's going to be like 64 today. So we're feeling good on these spring-like days. However, I think we are still going to get some sort of winter maybe next week. But I'm okay with it staying the way it is.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit colder after the next couple of days, but I mean, we shouldn't be too shocked. It was nice to wake up and it'd be 50 degrees already. That was pretty wild.
And you're wearing a Red Sox type jacket today, so I feel like you're willing spring to us, which I like.
Yeah, I mean, it's time to move forward. As non-optimistic as I am about the Red Sox this season, I still got to support them, and hopefully they'll shock us all.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe we go with that. I'm not sure. I brought back a tradition last night that I had growing up as a kid. I cut cable, which I still struggle with that decision a lot. But, and everybody said, including you guys here, Becca, just get an antenna. Just get an antenna. The antenna I got, first of all, it looks like a joystick or something else.
Okay.
Secondly, it doesn't really do anything. I discovered, though, because the tradition going back to when I was growing up, every night we would eat dinner and watch Jeopardy. I haven't been able to do that. I love Jeopardy. You guys know this. But Paramount Plus, you can watch live TV. So I was able to watch Jeopardy last night.
Wow, there you go.
Nobody else cared except me. Nobody else gave a you-know-what.
So why was this a tradition? It
was a tradition when I was a kid. So I was trying to bring it back to like my family.
Right, I understand.
Tony didn't care.
Yeah.
Iris had to go to bed, and every time I would blurt out an answer, Ariel would just be like if the answer was early 2000s, she would go early 2000s.
Yeah. Well, it's because she doesn't know any of it.
No,
she's
I know.
3.5. So
she kept saying, "I don't like this show. I don't like." Well, of course you don't like the show. You're 3.5.
you started this conversation by making it seem like you had this like wholesome family moment, like just tradition, like you guys, exchanged great stories at the dinner table, and it was like,
we
no,
did that.
I tried. Yes,
Come on,
no, I know, but I was
tried.
expecting like some nice moment, some nice Hallmark.
There was no
moment.
Hallmark moments.
It's Thursday. It went out the door like the other
And
day.
it was just like, I forced my family to watch Jeopardy. Nobody cared. Nobody cared that I got the answer right. That
I was so happy to sit. It was actually, I gotta say, Double Jeopardy was very hard last night. But I'm hoping that I can get this into being
here's
a
the thing.
tradition.
Your kids are not going to care for at least 10 years. At least, because there's no chance they're learning anything that's happening in Jeopardy until like middle school.
I'm not saying that I was a prodigy. When I was like 4, I was kind of into Jeopardy. So that's what I'm hoping.
There's no shot. It's actually impossible for you at the age of 4 to know anything that's happening on Jeopardy. It's impossible.
I specifically remember getting an answer right when I was like 4.
Okay, maybe it was like Disney characters.
I think it was Alice in Wonderland.
There you go. Well, that'll tell you
it
all you need
wasn't
to know.
potent potables, I'll tell you that much.
Right.
Anyway, guys, let's get this Thirsty Thursday going with Carmen.
Hot 106.
Rihanna did a full spread for British Vogue, which included A$AP Rocky and their baby boy, who is now 9 months old and soon to be big brother. She's yet to reveal his name. So much so, this name is so under wraps, you guys, that the interviewer was saying when she was around the family and around some of Rihanna's employees, everyone just referred to the baby as Baby.
Oh, just Baby.
Maybe that's his name. Baby?
Yeah, let's go with that. We'll just run with that right there, Baby.
The reason why Rihanna, this is why she finally said yes. She gave British Vogue the exclusive after, I guess they approach her every year for the last 10 years. She said 2 Super Bowls back to back representing the urban community globally. It's powerful. It sends a really strong message, referring, of course, to the halftime show last year with Dr. Dre and Kendrick and Mary J. Blige. She also said the recent birth of her son was also a factor. In the same interview, she talked about she's going to try to come out with new music this year. But again, she's being very funny with the whole new music question. She's not directly answering it, especially now. When this interview, I think, was done, she had recently found out she was pregnant or didn't know yet. So she's still being very funny about the answer to the question about new music.
I'm laughing.
Meanwhile, Meanwhile, you know who I completely forgot about, who has not done the halftime show, and I'm surprised, but would make a good one.
Friggin' tell me.
Pink.
Pink would be good. Pink would be a good halftime show.
She does all of
the crazy
aerial
acrobatics and like the, what do they call that? What are those things she hangs from? The ribbon things?
Yeah.
They're not ribbons, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, of
like
course.
the cloth.
Well, she does the acrobatics and whatnot. I think that would be a really cool, not only spectacle, but if you look at Pink's discography, she's got hits.
Yeah, it's so crazy to think about she's the get this party started on a Saturday night girl, because I remember she like opened up the Kids' Choice Awards at Nickelodeon, and then she went on to be one of the biggest like pop stars of all time.
People love going to see her live because it's not just a concert, it's a show.
She's cool as hell. I like Pink.
So we'll see. I think that would actually be a cool halftime show.
You know who I saw somebody mention on Twitter that I thought would actually be very good is Carrie Underwood.
You think?
I think Carrie Underwood would be a really good halftime show because she could bring out, like, that could be like the Carrie Underwood and Friends type of things, but she has a lot of bangers. She has some hits. I saw Carrie Underwood live.
My key into the side.
Because, like, I feel like eventually you're going to have to dip into the country world a little bit.
Yeah.
You know? And if you do Taylor, like Taylor has, like, some of the older stuff, but I feel like Carrie Underwood and like a Chris Stapleton would be like cool.
She does Vegas. I mean, it could happen.
Yeah.
That's a good one. For more Hot Dish, you can follow me on Instagram at Becca Burger.
On Hot 106.
Supermodel Emily Ratajkowski's been in the news a lot lately. Obviously splitting from her husband and then getting with comedian Eric Andre. They made their relationship official this week. But also she's trending because there's a different way you pronounce her last name. This happens a lot with celebrities. We pronounce their name one way, and then they say, actually, after 10 years of saying it one way, they say, actually, it's this way. She was in a recent fashion show, and here's what she had to say.
Emily, how do you pronounce your last name? Ratajkowska.
Ratajkowska. So it's Emily Ratajkowska instead of Emily Ratajkowski. I think I'm probably going to keep calling her Emily Ratajkowski because it's just a little bit easier for me.
I think she just likes Emrata.
Emrata. That's just, or we just call her Emrata. So there are several other celebrities whose names we've been pronouncing or mispronouncing, I should say, for years. Raven Simone decided to come out and say it's actually Simonier.
Simonier. There's no shot. No chance her last name is Simonier.
Raven Simonier. Simonier. That's
somebody who did like Ancestry DNA and then went back like whatever and was like, this is how my family pronounced it in the 1600s. It's Simonier.
Brendan Fraser, this has always been a question mark, but he recently corrected Adam Sandler. He wasn't a jerk about it, but it's Fraser.
Fraser.
Not Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser.
Not Kelsey Grammer Fraser. It's Brendan Fraser. Oh, the Adele thing.
Adele.
We went through the whole Adele thing a few months ago. Adele. Farmer and Adele.
Adele.
Just sounds so unnatural saying it like that, isn't it?
Adele.
Yeah. The Lindsay Lohan thing, I'm always going to call her Lindsay Lohan, but apparently it's Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, no shot. No chance I'm calling her Lindsay Lohan.
It's like Rihanna.
Yeah, no way. You can't, or just come out and say it right away. Why are you going to allow people to, like, if people will call me by my wrong name?
Meek?
No, well, actually, you know what? I stand corrected because I told you the story about third grade birthday party. My dad dropped me off at a bowling alley, and they said, hi, name, like, for me, and he said Manny, because that's his name. And then they called me Manny the rest of the party, and I just didn't say anything.
I love it.
They were just like, all right, Manny, it's your turn to bowl.
Great strike,
and I'm
Manny.
like, oh, let's do it. And that
what size shoe?
Also the same party where I gave away the Charizard for the birthday gift. It was a traumatizing party. Thankfully,
therapy needed.
Well, now that bowling alley doesn't even exist anymore.
Rounding some stuff out, the Ariana Grande thing gets me every time. It's Grandy.
It's not Grandy.
Ariana Grande.
Although I did have a music teacher in middle school, last name Grandy, spelt the same way.
Must be a thing with musicians.
Maybe it is.
Chrissy Teigen is Teigen. Chrissy Teigen.
I don't care.
I think what happens with these famous people
I don't care
is they get like a little burst of fame at the beginning and people just assume their name is one way and then they just kind of go with it. Gal Gadot.
There's no way you pronounce the T.
Gadot. It's Gadot.
Gadot.
Gal Gadot.
That's brutal.
And lastly, the is what gets me. Ralph Fiennes, you know him as from Harry Potter. He's Voldemort, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess. I mean, I've never seen him with eyelids before. So. Or lips.
Well, he was
or
recently...
a nose, actually. Just... So I don't know what
seen him with
you could this guy could be doing the show with me and I would have no idea that he was Voldemort because he's dressed up like Voldemort.
He was recently in a movie called The Menu, which I watched over the weekend, which was frightening.
You know this guy? You know the guy with no nose and no eyelids and no lips in the movie?
It's not Ralph Fiennes.
And no hair?
It's Rafe Fiennes.
Yeah, whatever. Voldemort. He who shall not be named.
We got more coming up.
On Hot 106.
Yeah, we were just talking about how Emily Ratajkowski apparently pronounces her name in a just a little bit of a different way. Jim, do we have that clip once again? If you could play that. Emily was this very beautiful supermodel walking the runway. She was asked, how do you really pronounce your name?
Emily, how do you pronounce your last name? Ratajkowska.
Yeah.
Ratajkowska.
Sounds like a Bond girl.
Yeah, maybe she could be. She could easily be.
Definitely.
A Bond girl.
With some really, innuendo type name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to come up with one?
I don't know. I'll end up saying something I shouldn't say, so I'm not going to do that.
Looking at other celebrities whose names you might be pronouncing wrong. I've always known it's Alicia Silverstone, but a lot of people through the years since the Clueless days have called her Alicia Silverstone because it's spelled like that.
But I feel like most people know to pronounce it Alicia.
Kesha is Kesha. She said, my name is Kesha. Kesha. Not Keisha, not ketchup. Kesha.
We know it's Kesha.
I know. And she took the $sign out.
Ah.
Justin Theroux is actually Justin Theroux. And not the Canadian Prime Minister, Jennifer Aniston's ex. Justin Theroux.
Okay.
Theroux.
Thank you for clarifying that.
I know
yeah.
you needed
I get
a little
those
bit
confused.
of a visual. Jake Gyllenhaal, can you pronounce how he wants you to pronounce it?
Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal. That's a troll. That's a troll move right there. That's a troll. There's no chance. There's no chance that his last name is actually pronounced. This is the phonetic spelling here. Gyllenhaal.
Is that a Beyonce song? The only two places that it's pronounced correctly, my last name is in Sweden and IKEA. That's kind of funny.
That's the same place.
Steve Buscemi is Buscemi. I mean, we knew that. Charlize Theron, they're in. Charlize Theron. Is that a Bond? Is that the Bond name?
Yeah. Where are they in? That's the real question. Yeah, at the end of the day, obviously people want their names pronounced the way they're supposed to be pronounced. I just think that in Hollywood, you have that option very early on. You have to clarify that. Otherwise, if you let people run with it for years and years, you can't expect them to just change it.
Yeah, Chrissy Teigen.
Unless you completely change your name, like Ron Artest changed his name to Meta World Peace.
Facts.
Or Chad Ochocinco.
Yeah. 224-1063. Do people constantly pronounce your name wrong? Text or call us. We got Carmen coming up and a whole lot more.
106.
Believe it or not, the long-rumored I Am Legend sequel is indeed on the way.
We are legends.
With Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith. Go ahead, ask.
Is that what are they doing? Are they...
You were supposed to ask, well, how is that possible?
Yeah, how is that possible?
Thank you. Because, spoiler alert, Will Smith's character dies at the end of I Am Legend. Well, the people behind I Am Legend 2 will follow the film's alternate ending,
yes,
which was released on DVD and not the theatrical one.
This is my take on this, okay?
Take it away.
The alternate ending, not just because... Spoiler alert, the movie came out, 13, 14,
2007.
15, 16 years ago. The alternate ending is the better ending. And they regretted, it's actually been stated multiple times, they regretted going with the theatrical one because it made absolutely no sense, okay? It made no sense why he would sacrifice himself in that moment. And so therefore, the alternate ending, I'm thankful that they're doing this. This isn't like a fan service thing. This is just being smart about what was already a great film that you tried to ruin.
The people behind it said that the producer said, I'm obsessed with The Last of Us, where we see the world just post-apocalypse, but also after a 20-30-year lapse. And so he was inspired by that.
That's cool.
Probably inspired by the video game rolling into the HBO show. So I Am Legend 2 with Will Smith and with Michael B. Jordan.
Let's go.
Man, Will Smith's on quite the comeback of movies that nobody loves starring in a movie that he was in 30 years ago more than Will Smith.
Yeah, but I'm interested to see, because the way the movie ends, it leads into, why did they do it? Like, what was it all for? And now I'm curious to see how much in the future they go. If they're inspired by Last of Us, maybe it's 20 years to see how society kind of gets back together.
And
pretty cool.
Moving on, T-Pain is doing an album of cover songs. He will not use auto-tune. On Top of the Covers is what it's called.
Oh.
It includes covers of Journey's Don't Stop Believin',
Nice.
Sam Smith's Stay With Me, Black Sabbath's War Pigs,
Nice.
and more. That is quite the collection.
Well, T-Pain, extremely talented man, obviously famous for the auto-tune, but has an incredible voice without the auto-tune, a musical genius. This is going to be fun for people that want to have alternative versions of songs for weddings and stuff like that, more
point.
modernized versions of it.
Yeah.
So I think he's smart with this.
A little bit like how Bridgerton puts like a classical
Yeah.
spin on current songs.
Or even with Elton John in his like recent like remixes of songs with the Dua Lipa and Britney Spears and stuff.
I think it's a fun trend. For more Hot Dish, you can follow me on Instagram at Becca Berger.
Show with Becca and Mike D on Hot 106.
I really do love when we do such general topics like this, because so many people have so many different answers to this question. The question is, at 224-1063, we're going to have fun with this one. What is the single greatest episode of television ever? And we're not just talking these dramas that are critically acclaimed. You could think that the Kevin Chili dropping the chili episode of The Office is the greatest episode of television ever. And you might agree with me or you might not. Sometimes the second to last episode of a TV show ever is better than the finale. I have found that with a lot of shows.
The penultimate.
Exactly.
In my case, so my choice is quite obvious. My favorite show of all time is Breaking Bad, and the episode Ozymandias, which is the third to last episode of Breaking Bad, really is basically the last episode, because I feel like the last two episodes of Breaking Bad are sort of the epilogue, right? It kind of just shows you what's happened after the climax of the show, what you waited 5 seasons for, and just the drama, the suspense. I'm not exaggerating. This is real life. This is not being played up for the show. I had like almost a panic attack watching that episode.
It's amazing that TV can bring that out in you, isn't it? Isn't it scary?
You think about it. You invested so much time and emotion into these characters. It's fiction. It's fiction, but it's okay. It's okay to immerse yourself into a fictional world and enjoy it, okay? Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I got so invested in these characters that seeing the result of all of this harm that Walter White, that Heisenberg did, and it all come at a head at once. Wow, it was a lot to take in. It was extremely emotional. It was wild. You didn't know what was going to happen next. You didn't know how bad it was going to get. My goodness, what incredible television that was. I think it's still the only show that's 10 out of 10 on IMDb.
Breaking Bad?
Yeah. Well, that episode.
By the way, this question was also inspired, too, because after the third episode of The Last of Us, people called that the greatest episode they've ever seen of television. I mean, I think a question like this, you might automatically go to either recency bias, right? Where you think about newer TV shows. I love This Is Us. The second to last episode, Rebecca, the family's matriarch, spoiler alert, this is really not a spoiler alert, but she dies and she takes a train ride through heaven and she meets up with all the people that have passed. And it is chilling television.
Yeah, that's deep.
It's beautiful writing. And then going back to what we were just talking about, the second to last episode, the finale really wasn't that great because the second to last episode was so good.
It's usually the climax, and then it's like what happens after. What happens after sometimes gives you closure, but it's not as good. It's not as enthralling. So, yeah, it's interesting. Some of the responses on Reddit, because this is where the topic was, where we got the topic from. It was funny because one person replied with the episode of SpongeBob.
The single greatest episode of television. That's what I'm saying. Everybody can have a different opinion.
Where they performed Sweet Victory at the Super Bowl, whatever the version of the Super Bowl was on SpongeBob. And there was some interesting tidbits I got from that. A lot of people agreed with it. That was a big part of their childhood. That song was originally written. It was just a random song that probably would have never seen the light of day. The song that they perform. that was written for like another TV show that I think Nickelodeon just kind of had in the back burner, and they ended up using it, and it became super popular from the SpongeBob show. So
sometimes trash ends up as treasure.
You never know, but there's so many to choose from.
Justin said, again, the question is the single greatest episode of television ever. Justin said The Red Wedding.
Oh,
Game
yeah.
of Thrones.
Oh, my God. Game of Thrones has a few. Honestly, Game of Thrones probably has the most peak episodes in regards to how well done they were. That one, The Mountain versus the Viper. Shout out to Pedro Pascal when they're beefing, and
how we found out about Pedro Pascal, basically.
Was an incredible. Hard Home is another one from Game of Thrones where there's a big, you kind of see the wrath of the White Walkers for the first time. There's so many great episodes of television, but I still got to go with Ozymandias from I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, from Breaking Bad.
Single greatest episode of TV ever. Text or call us 224-1063. We got more coming up.
Hot 106.
We're talking single greatest episodes of TV ever. I think a great episode of TV is one where after it's over, you just sit in it. You sit in it in silence, and you don't even go to your phone right away, because that's what we're now conditioned to do. You go right to Reddit, you go right to Twitter to see what other people said about it. But when you just sit in it and you think, what just happened?
I've been going to Reddit less and less lately because I've found that I really enjoy things, and then Reddit tries to just ruin it by saying it's bad. So I'm just like, you know what? I don't really want to, unless there's a real theory I'm trying to find. But recency bias, Last of Us episode 3. Because for any of us that played the video game, it deterred from the main story and kind of gave you a deeper backstory to something that we wouldn't have otherwise known.
They took liberty with it, right?
It was absolutely amazing, very emotional. I cried, my eyes out, legit sobbing. And no, it wasn't just because of the wine. It was just such a really well written episode. Just, it pulls on the heartstrings, and yeah, just a lot of things can be said about it. But TV doesn't always have to make me cry for it to be amazing, right? It can make you cry laughing. It can make you, you can make an argument that the Rick James sketch from Dave, from the Chappelle Show is the greatest. I mean, think about how much that's impacted pop culture in the comedy world.
I was just thinking that somebody, one of our texters mentioned the episode of Ellen when she came out.
Yeah.
And how that shifted a lot.
Right.
In just pop culture in general, and how it was on the cover of magazines at the time, and people talked about it. And then she was sort of blacklisted for a while, and then came back and had the talk show. There's a lot to say, said to be said about Ellen in the last few years, but that was a big pop culture shift, and could be one of the greatest episodes of TV because of it.
Yeah, I'm looking at a GIF somebody shared on your Facebook of the Fresh Prince, the episode with Will's dad when he came and went, and he had that really emotional scene with Uncle Phil at the end.
Yeah.
Just, we know a lot can be said about the writing, but also the acting. These actors are just so good at pulling these emotions out of you.
A lot of people saying anything having to do with The Sopranos as well.
Yeah.
We're talking the single greatest episode of TV ever. Doesn't have to be a finale. Text or call us 224-1063. Little Dirk tickets at 8:10.
106.
You got to know by now I'm a sucker for Ben Affleck in that Super Bowl commercial for Dunkin'. Well, here's the thing. He didn't have to fake any of that love for Dunkin'. He grew up in Boston, as we know, and he talks about that here.
I just grew up as a kid, and coming here and going here, and this was, especially in Boston, it was such a big deal. This was the place that, as I grew up, and playing Little League, and after the games, everybody would go to Dunkin', get munchkins, get coffee, it was like the thing that everybody did. I sort of took for granted that this was the best coffee and donuts place because it was a place everybody went.
I love that. And now what about his kids? His kids are a little bit older now. So what do they think about Dad, a.k.a. Ben Affleck's loyalty to Dunkin'?
My kids think it's a little bit, there aren't as many Dunkins in L.A. where they grow up, so I think they think of it as a slightly eccentric habit of their dads. There's this one coffee shop that I really stick with and go to, but they know that it's associated with sort of where I grew up, and so I think it's tolerated, which is the most you can hope for as the parent of adolescents.
That's so true. Anyway, Ben and Jen, as you know, starring in that commercial for Dunkin', one of my favorites coming from the Super Bowl. Now, the highly anticipated live action Little Mermaid is out this May. We got even more of a teaser trailer. Yesterday, you hear Halle Bailey singing, and then you hear Ursula at the end.
Part of that
Beautiful.
Thanks, Simon. Melissa McCarthy as Ursula.
Love Melissa McCarthy.
Give me that ASAP. I'm going to bring My Little Mermaid to the movies, and I can't wait.
This is like Jack Black playing Bowser. It's like you have like these really funny people playing villains.
Yes. That's
Right?
Maybe that's a trend.
Yeah.
I think you might be onto something.
Yeah.
Who's next? Who's really funny that could play like a really good villain?
I'm curious to see. This is going this completely away from what you were just talking
Go
about,
for
but
it.
I'm curious to see Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. That's going to be funny.
I think all of the voice talents.
I can't even tell you how excited I am for this friggin' movie.
You're
Like,
talking about cosplaying it. You're going to be dressed as Mario.
I'm going to cosplay it. I'm going to dress up as either Luigi or Mario. You're going to be Princess Peach.
We're going to do a whole. What's Jim going to be?
Ooh. Oh, no, Jim could be either. Okay, Jim, me and you are going to be the Mario and Luigi brothers, okay? So you could be either Mario or Luigi. I'll let you pick, okay? I don't usually do that. Usually I like to be, either Luigi because that's my favorite character. If you want to be Luigi, I'll let you be Luigi. Becca's going to be Peach, and Nick will be Donkey Kong.
Sign me
Yeah.
up. Let's get tickets
Yes,
now.
let's go.
What a photo.
Oh, God, I can't wait. Well, we got like 2 months?
Yeah, April. Really big miss. You know it's a big miss for them not to put it out on Mario Day, March 10th.
And don't forget, if your cousin in the industry happens to get any more merch, you holler at your boy.
Sending it your way.
Yeah,
Mushroom
please.
Hat's yours.
Yes.
For more Hot Dish, you can
Oh, God.
follow me on Instagram at Becca Berger. We're going to go live on The Talk at Hot 106 Prov.
On Hot 106.
Inspired by a Reddit thread and also the fact that people calling episode 3 of The Last of Us one of the greatest episodes of all time leads us to our question: what is the single greatest episode of television ever? What I failed to sort of mention is I think great episodes stem from big reveals and big surprises that you didn't see coming. For example, I just said this. We're live, by the way, on TikTok at Hot 106 Prov. When you find out, and this is not a spoiler because Scandal's been out for a while and it's over now, so you can always go back and watch. When you find out Olivia Pope is related to Papa Pope. We didn't know that at the time. And then all of a sudden she gets in the back of a limo and she's like, Dad? And I believe the season ends. Episodes that end on a cliffhanger are great episodes.
Yeah, I mean, there's I've already mentioned Ozymandias. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. From Breaking Bad is I think is the greatest episode in television history. There's just so many to choose from. There's been so many great shows. The ones that just kind of that leave you with so many questions. Those are the ones I feel like get talked about the most because they can be interpreted in so many different ways.
I don't like some of those episodes, though, because I don't have closure. I don't like when shows just end and then you don't have closure. Series finales like that, and then the creators do some interview with Variety, and then they say, well, you can interpret it how you want. No, just spoon feed it to me. I don't want to think about it.
But think about it. If you're a writer, like for example, the finale of The Sopranos, all right, that was very controversial.
Yes.
There's a general interpretation of it, of what happened, that people have kind of been running with. But when that ended, people thought their TV went out. Like nobody understood what was happening.
It was like Tubi the other night.
But they talked about it. But
Yeah.
think about it. If you give the closure as a writer, if you say this is how it ends, this is it, I feel like you're almost open to more scrutiny because it's not going to end how these people want it. So if you give them the option to be like, you could take it this way, you could take it this way, and you're going to talk about it for 10 years, why not?
They still are to this day talking
Exactly.
about that one episode of The Sopranos. You know, I love Friends.
Yeah.
And I'm judged heavily for that. And I still don't know why. I think it's a great, funny, wonderful, clever show.
It gets more hate than it deserves.
It does. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Wow.
you're welcome.
Thanks
No,
for that
no,
little gift.
it's okay.
Okay.
welcome.
There's an episode. It's the finale. And you find out Rachel didn't get on the plane.
Oh.
I didn't get on the plane because she was supposed to go to Paris, and you just want Ross and Rachel to be together. Even just talking about it, I'm getting excited. So we're talking great episode. like excited, happy excited.
Okay, yeah, no,
not
sorry, yeah.
Valentine's Day excited.
Okay, whoa.
We're live on TikTok at Hot 106 Prov. A lot of people, by the way, Game of Thrones, Battle of the Beastards.
Yes.
That's what a lot of people seem to think is one of the greatest episodes of television.
The greatest fight scene in history, without a doubt. Insane. I can still be able to see all the piles of bodies.
Shut the Door, Have a Seat from Mad Men.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, Shut the Door,
Nicholas
Have a
said that.
Seat. Yeah, that's when they decided to leave SCDP and start their own ad agency.
Let me tell you.
Shut the Door, Have a Seat. They did it all behind their back. They did it overnight. They got into a hotel room. Oh, so good.
If you have not seen Mad Men, do yourself a favor. And that was one of my favorite binges.
My top three shows ever.
It's so much so Mike, I think, watched it twice.
I've seen it 3 times.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't mean
so
to
good.
shortchange you.
Please do not.
We're live on TikTok at Hot 106 Prov, and we want you to weigh in as well.
The
single
suitcase.
greatest episode of TV ever. Text or call us 224-1063.
106.
In his retirement as a single guy and a single dad, Tom Brady has welcomed 2 new additions to the family. He has adopted 2 kittens.
Ugh.
He's hinted that his 10-year-old daughter, Vivian, was the mastermind behind the furry family expansion. Evidently, I didn't realize this, but the local Humane Society says in Tampa Bay that Tom and his family are fantastic volunteers who give the shelter's animals plenty of attention, which I love, but I didn't take Tom for a cat guy. He seems like a dog person, not to judge.
Yeah, no, also good job with the tease. People thinking that Tom Brady was like getting like a surrogate or something.
That's what I do.
But you got 2 cats instead. Yeah, I mean, he's doing it for the kids. Cats, they don't if he wants to be on the road, they don't require they're very independent. You don't have to take them for walks or take them out to, you do the bathroom or anything. You might come home to a lamp knocked over or they pooped in the plant or something, but
Let's hope they don't poop in the plant.
well, it's possible. My old cat used to do that. So shout out to Tom Brady, man. He knows what he's doing.
But
He's got a couple of kitties.
I've yet to see the names of the cats. Well, Goat 1, Goat 2, or like Buck, Pat.
It's gonna probably be Bill and Gronk.
Maybe, and then they just fight all the
Yeah.
time. Anyway, Tom Brady adopted 2 kittens from a Florida. I love that he did the Florida rescue thing. I think that is great, and it all has to do with his kids loving cats. He's a cat daddy, man. Tom Brady, the cat daddy.
We haven't seen a cat daddy this hot since Kate Upton did it.
Meow. That's funny.
On Hot 106.
Some big morning show news. Nothing having to do with this morning show.
And
But
now, a special announcement from Hot 106.
thank you, Gene Belicenti, and nothing having to do with his show either.
No.
Ryan Seacrest is exiting Live with Kelly and Ryan. He's out.
I remember the search for him it took a very long time.
And she said, and now your long national nightmare is over. And then they announced who the co-host was. But you are so correct. It took them a very long time to find Michael Strahan's replacement.
Seacrest never seemed like he was into it. Let's call it what it is. They did that. They went through the pandemic, right? He got announced shortly before the pandemic, and
It was 6 years ago.
Was it?
It really was.
Oh my God.
And you know
It was
why?
amazing to
You know
imagine.
why I remember this?
We outlasted Kelly and Ryan. Let's
at
go.
us.
Look at us.
You know what? Speaking of that, I think one of their issues, and you hate to critique people, but we're in the business. Like we can critique a little bit. They were way too much alike, and I get it. You and I are alike too, but
Yeah.
obviously we have differing opinions. Where, whatever, there are differences. Those two, if I was going to say, Ryan Seacrest is a male version of Kelly Ripa and vice versa. And they lacked chemistry.
They had no chemistry at all. They had
Yeah.
zero chemistry. I feel like she was never really into it with him. Like there was some episodes where I'm like, do they know they're on TV right now? Like they were super out of it, and he's just so busy. Like he's got so much going
Extremely.
on.
Yep.
I'm shocked he did it as long as he did, and I'm shocked that he committed to it to begin with. I don't know. It always seemed like a weird fit. And now it's going to be who? Her husband?
Yeah.
Her
So
husband's going
thank
to
you
be.
for saying that. Mark Consuelos is now going to be the co-host, and it's going to be Live with Kelly and Mark. And we were talking about this a little bit behind the scenes. One thing I don't want the narrative to be is, she's difficult to work with. Clearly, she's going through
No.
Well, the Regis stepped down for a reason. It was time for him to leave.
He was, yes.
And there are still some people who call the show Live with Kelly and Regis. Or Regis and Kelly. People
Kathy
still
Lee.
call it that. Yeah. There is still people of a certain generation that still think that they're still on TV. Anyway, there was stuff that came out about Strahan and Kelly, and it just so happens that sometimes people outgrow a work environment.
Yeah.
And to your point, Seacrest he's tired.
He's got a lot going on.
So much. And for people forget too, he's a producer. He owns certain shows. He's the one that gave us the Kardashians. So he's in the TV game behind the scenes just as much as he is in front of the camera. I think the Kelly and Mark thing is a cute move. Obviously, they have chemistry. They're married. It's a good time for them to do it now. Their kids are all older. They're grown, out of the nest, so to speak. They're empty nesters. I think it's a decent move.
I think it's a decent move. I think that they'll have obviously better chemistry and, good riddance. And you won't have to see Ryan Seacrest's ankles anymore, which I think is the biggest W of the day for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
If I was to see that man's ankles one more time, clearly I don't have an ankle fetish. You don't have to worry about that.
You have the opposite.
I really do. I'm going to pay him to put socks on.
You love a man in long pants.
I do. That's my brand. Anyway, if you're just tuning in, Ryan Seacrest leaving. Kelly and Ryan, after 6 years, Mark Consuelos, her husband, will now be her co-host. We got more coming up.
6.
Yeah, that does it for us. Thank you to everybody who participated. Great topics today. In case you missed any of it, we can plug this, right?
Yes, we're going to be uploading full Hot Morning Show episodes up on our YouTube. So go subscribe right now. Search Hot 106 Prov on YouTube. We're going to be uploading full episodes. So maybe you had to go into work and you missed some stuff from the show earlier today. Well, don't worry. You'll now be able to listen to the whole show up on our YouTube starting today and going forward. And, of course, while you're there, check out some of our great artist interviews that we've done over the years. We're really starting to organize. We'll call it organize some of these things. But there's been so many times where people have kind of hit us up and been like, oh, I missed the end of that break. And it might not have been the podcast we chose to post that day, but now we're just going to post the whole show so you never have to miss a thing.
Perfect. So go to YouTube at Hot 106 and hit that subscribe button today. Enjoy the spring day. High of 65. A little bit cloudy, but just enjoy it. Shed that big old coat for a day. And we'll be back tomorrow on your Friday. Jim, thank you so much. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hot 106.